Okay, so calisthenics is really taxing on your joints, and me personally, I have extremely weak wrists. So if I don't put in the work to actually condition and warm them up properly, I find that I'll have a lot of irritation and I will definitely get injured. So this is a routine and some exercises that I do to properly condition and warm up my wrists before any training sessions. Hope this helps. So there are four main movements of the wrist that we are going to be warming up and understanding. First up, we have forearm flexion, which is used a lot in calisthenics in any pulling skills or even in handstands. Now we have forearm extension, which actually is very neglected and is not used as much in calisthenics. And then there's radial deviation, and then we have ulnar deviation. This is a quick warm up that you can do before any training session to get some blood flowing into your wrists and ensure you don't get injured. Start off with some wrist rotations. Keep your hands clasped tightly together and rotate for around 20 reps each side. Make sure you do clockwise and anti clockwise. And this will just get some blood flowing and warm up the wrists for the further exercises that we have to do. So now set up just like this, and we're going to be warming up and stretching our forearm flexors. So in this position, just gently lean forwards until you feel a nice stretch in your forearm flexors. Don't go too deep with this one and don't stay in this stretch position for too long. Once you reach the end point, you're just going to want to push with your fingers a little bit back to the beginning and repeat for around 10 and 20 reps. This will again get some nice blood flowing and warm up your wrists. We're going to move into some wrist peels. We just set up in the same way as the previous exercise, but this time shift all your weight to the arm that you are going to peel off the floor and gently lift it off, pushing actively with your forearm flexors, and try to go a full 180 degrees with your hands and go back for a couple of rounds. We're now going to stretch the forearm extensors. Just lay your hands, palms facing up on the ground like so, and just gently rock back and forth a little bit. Make sure you stretch them through different ranges of motion so your wrists are prepared for anything during your training. A progression of this exercise could be to form fists with your hands and then repeat the exercise. This does increase the stretch on the forearms and is a great warm up for any false grip training. Just finish off with a couple of rotations in multiple directions with a closed and open fist, and you will be set. So, especially in calisthenics, with all the pulling that we do, the forearm flexor muscles are generally very strong and conditioned, but the forearm extensors, which are these muscles on the back, are generally not as strong or conditioned because we just don't use these muscles as much. So I think it would be really beneficial if you train both forearm flexion, but also add in conditioning for your forearm extension, and that'll give you a nice well-rounded approach on wrist strengthening and even forearm conditioning. To train the forearm extensors, just lay your hand on a stable surface that's flat like this, and you're just going to extend your wrist, activating those forearm muscles. Take a light weight in the beginning, but again, you can progress like any weighted exercise. Make sure you control the movement, nice explosive, maybe a pause at the top, and lower the eccentric with control. This way you will condition your forearms and stay injury free. To train radial deviation, it's more or less the same setup. Ensure your forearms are on a flat, stable surface. And in terms of the weight, I like to use weight adjustable dumbbells and screw on the weight on only one side. This way I can train it very well and very effectively, as you see in the video. If you don't have this, resistance bands work well, and that's another option if you don't have the weight adjustable dumbbells. Same principles when training, however. Make sure you have a nice pause at the top to contract the muscle and lower the eccentric with control to make sure you don't get injured. Training ulnar deviation is slightly different. It's kind of like doing a behind the back forearm curl, but instead of having your arms supinated, you're going to keep it in a neutral position and just focus on that ulnar deviation. Again, pause at the top to feel a nice contraction, lower it down slowly. A tip for this exercise is to ensure that your arm stays by your side. When your arm rocks back and forth, it can shift the tension off of your wrists and forearms and shift it to your triceps. So that's something to keep in mind. On the screen right now is an extremely basic wrist warm-up that I have made. The exercises that we have gone through today are on this, but feel free to make any changes to cater to your own needs. Here is a quick outro because I forgot to film one before. Calisthenics is extremely taxing on your joints, and if you don't condition your wrists specifically, then you can have some serious injuries down the line, and we don't want that. So by following the warm-up I've given you and doing some of the exercises to specifically target aspects of your forearms and wrists, you can stay injury-free. Keep grinding.